Captain, how soon can you land?
I can't tell.
You can tell me I'm a doctor.
No, I mean, I'm just not sure.
But can't you take a guess?
Well, not for another 2 hours.
You can't take a guess for another 2 hours?
No. I mean, we can't land for another 2 hours. Fog has closed down everything this side of the mountains. We've got to get through to Chicago.
So what do airplanes have to do with production? Well, probably more than you think. First of all, I love that clip. That's from the original movie Airplane. Airplane's one of those movies you can watch anytime, and it's still funny. Now, what we're going to discuss today is the power curve. Now, the power curve in an airplane has to do with how much forward thrust you're putting into the motors and what's happening. Sometimes if you're straight and level, you're going fast. Sometimes if you're climbing, that works too. But sometimes it doesn't work out so well if you don't have enough power and you're trying to climb too fast. In financial advisory, it's really similar. Now, in an airplane, if things aren't working out, it can end really badly, as in you can smash into the ground. We don't want to do that. But in your book, if you don't recognize the signs of getting behind the power curve, similar things can happen. It'll feel like you're smashing into the ground because your business isn't growing the way you want, and you're getting more and more frustrated all the time. Even though your life's not at stake, sometimes as producers, we kind of feel that way. So let's think about it a little bit and take a look at the typical growth pattern for most producers. On the left-hand axis, we see the number of households. Starts at 25, goes up to 250. On the y-axis at the bottom, we see length of service. I'm going to start here at 0 to 3. We'll go out to 30 plus, and let's take a look at what happens. In the upper left corner, we have a bit of an index as to telling you what kind of accounts we're opening. And of course, in our first several years, we are opening small accounts. We think we're going to open big ones. Doesn't always work out that way. Why? Because we don't know anything. We're kind of in that dangerously stupid phase. We don't even know what we don't know yet. We're not even sure what questions to ask. We're trying to maybe borrow $1 or $2 to get a down payment on a clue. But for the most part, we're completely clueless. What's amazing to me is people actually, other than your family, open accounts with you in those first few years when you don't know jack. Why? Well, you have nothing else to do. So you're completely invested in heat, light, a roof over your head, a car, and clothing. You want to keep your job. So what are you willing to do? Pretty much anything. And you do. And you look back from later on in your career and you say, oh, why did I open that account? Because you had to. Now, I want you also to think about all those promises you made to those people you opened up who were with you at the very beginning. Now, you'll notice as you get down the line in length of service, the number of accounts you're opening at this size kind of levels off. Maybe your firm stops paying you after a while. Maybe you're now qualified to open up these larger accounts and utilize your actions totally focused on growth. Now, I go out here to about the 15th, 14th, 15th, 16th year, and I kind of stop with actions focused on growth. If you add up the number of accounts you've accumulated, you have more of these people, 250 or less. You have a pretty good number of these folks at 500. You've got less of these people at 1 million or more. And somewhere in here, you've opened up accounts that are greater than 2.5 million. My guess is, it's not a guess, it's proven, but if you look at the number of accounts you've opened in that 1 million plus range, including 2.5, and you add them all up, the assets in those accounts are in all likelihood a multiple of all of these accounts that you've opened here. Yeah, I know it's 80-20, and now you're going to tell me to get rid of the accounts. Wrong. Don't do that. And I'll explain why in a few minutes. Just recognize that what happens is that as you are going down the line in your career, you're reacting more than acting. You're very proactive when you're focused on growth. As you get down the line, you're now focused on maintenance. Think about your last several days. How many outgoing calls did you make to prospects? How many outgoing calls unreturned did you make to clients just to say hello? Let them know you're thinking about them. My guess is you were much more reactive, and in all likelihood, you were more reactive with the clients calling from this area because the numbers say there's more of them than anybody else. Now you think, oh no, I'm not taking all those calls. Well, somebody on your team is. They're taking the calls. They're talking to these people. So what happens is you come in and you start to react. Maybe you're reacting to calls from your better clients. Maybe you're reacting to your administrative assistants needing help or a junior FA on your team. But the bottom line is FAs go through and they hit a plateau. Now, in aviation, what that means is that even though you want to go higher, you don't have the time/power to get you there. As a result, what ultimately happens in an airplane is you stall. The wing literally falls out of the sky. It's recoverable, just like it is here, but it doesn't happen all by itself. What you've done here in almost every book I've ever examined, guys, I've been doing this a long time. Every book I ever examined, FAs induce their own stall. Here is the ultimate irony. Remember, you are opening all sorts of cool accounts back here, and you don't know anything. Why is it cool? Because it lets you keep your job. As you learn more and more, you're not out there hunting nearly as much as you used to. Here's the irony. When are you more equipped to hunt for the ideal accounts, many of which you have on your book already? When you don't know anything in those early years, or when your level of competency has probably accumulated at the point where you can go after almost anything? That's the exact time we stop. Talk about getting behind the power curve. The power you have is the knowledge in your brain, and what do you do with it? You become completely reactive, and your business stalls. Guys, I see it all the time. If you're a senior FA, ask yourself a very simple question. If you applied the same type of energy that you did in your first 0 to 3 or 4 years, the same type of focus you had on opening new relationships, would they look like the folks here, or would they look like the folks here? It's not voodoo, guys. It's a decision that we need to make. In aviation, it's very simple. Steady flow, LOS 0 to 3. Energy in equals output, even though you don't know what you're doing. You might not be growing very fast, but your number of accounts is going up and your knowledge is increasing. Here's your major growth period, 4 to 15. You've got power, knowledge, and at the same time, you've got lift. That's what you want. Every book I've ever seen, here's what happens later on. You're working as hard as you can. You feel exhausted all the time, but you're stalling. Why are you stalling? Because you're acting in a reactive way, putting yourself into a stall.